Daryl, is developing your career. And this is actually good timing for us as a stake, because on the 30th of May this month, we've had devotional,
All right.
I suppose, specifically looking at how people can maybe improve their occupation or improve their job or get a better job, and improve and develop their career. So hopefully this and that devotional later in the month can sort of incentivize people maybe to look at this as a goal and something that they can pursue. But what does it mean to develop your career, Daryl? What when I ask you that question, what sort of things are going through your mind in terms of developing your career per se?
I think, Chris, I've always been a bit kind of, for me personally, I've longed for, you know, from the kind of outset that, by the time, so I'm in my mid to late 50s now, and I wanted to be in, by the time I was 50, be kind of independent, being able to be in control of my own career. And that was a long-term goal and a long-term plan I had when I was in my late 20s. So that's been and through that last 25 years, for me, developing my career was all about being able to ultimately being able to be completely self-reliant, self-sufficient, be able to have the skills and capabilities, find something that was fulfilling for me, I could do independently of any other kind of organization or company. So for me, developing my career was all about financial independence and using the skill set that and the gifts and the talents that hopefully I have somewhat developed over these last, in my lifetime, but putting those into a career that would be fulfilling, and that it would also be something that I'd love to do, and not really think about it as work. So one of my favorite books, Chris, is, and I had the chance to meet Clay Christensen a few times. So I don't know if you see that on the line now.
Yeah, yeah.
How will you measure your life? I think I may have shared this with you before. But in his book, Clay talks about, now Clay was a member of the church. He's passed away now. He was a Harvard professor. He was also I think he was chosen twice as the most influential business thinker on the planet. Okay, twice he won that kind of award. But this is what he encapsulated in his book, page 39, quote, in order to really find happiness, you need to continue looking for opportunities that you believe are meaningful, in which you will be able to learn new things, to succeed, and be given more and more responsibility to shoulder. There's an old saying, find a job that you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Now, some of us might never find that, but I set out a long time ago with a goal to find that. And luckily, I've been very blessed. And frankly, in the last 7, nearly 8 years now that I've been working for myself, I've never worked a day in my life because I'm doing something that I love. That's what career development is all about.
So what advice, I suppose, breaking that down, maybe to I suppose a granular level, what advice would you give to someone trying to progress themselves professionally? If we think about our listener here in Dublin and the stake here, who's maybe not so satisfied with their job, who's thinking would love to make a change and maybe just doesn't know how or where to start.
Yeah.
Advice for those guys?
So there's lots of things you can do in that space, Chris. So in the self-reliance materials, and you'll know this, there's a really great part of the self-reliance program all around career development. And if frankly, if I was to run that professionally, right, that sort of part of the manual, Okay, this is bizarre. Okay, but if you were to go out to a coach and ask them to run that in a sort of professional basis, what the church has in those materials, you'd be paying thousands of pounds for that, and that's true. Okay, so the kind of things that would be helpful. So it's a question that's asked time and time and time again. And as I've coached people through that space, frequently I'll find people who are completely bogged down in their job. They hate it. It's a pain. They struggle at it. They don't enjoy it, and they're trapped because it's the money. It's the money that's trapped them into the mental place that, oh, but and it's safe. It's very safe. And you find that with a lot of people that the money has trapped them and they don't want to change. There's a lot of work being done by a lady by the name of Carol Dweck on growth and fixed mindsets. I think you and I have spoken about that in the past, and whereby there's a huge swathe of people who have got fixed mindsets and are really quite unwilling to change. But then there's another swathe of people who really have this growth mindsets and they really want to change. So for those who want to change and further themselves professionally, okay, if you can, I would suggest, and this isn't just because I'm a coach, but there are a lot of coaches out there. It's really helpful if you can actually sit down and talk to someone and have someone listen. Okay. Earlier, we talked about this listening, right? Most people, especially in the workplace, tend to just listen to respond. There's usually some sort of diagnostic listening going on, and they'll just respond. Okay. Or give them an answer. Then we get into this kind of space called deep listening, and that's when as a coach I will listen to someone and give them my full attention. I'll be fully present and undivided attention for a period of time. I'll really listen and I'll probe and I'll ask some other questions, so that individual is actually having to think and process. And I often find that in the quiet space which I'm holding for them, a lot of deep thinking's going on in their head. When you're working in that, so if you can get a coach, that'll help because it'll allow that individual to do some deep thinking. And when they're in that space, even if you do get a coach, great. If you don't, you need to consider kind of three things. You need to consider. Let me just look, reflect inside. So look inside. What's going on for you now in that very moment? And then can you consider the present, looking at right at that. So I'm getting mixed up there. You need to change this bit, Chris. Look backwards, reflect back, consider the present, and look forward. Okay, so there's the three phases. What kind of experience, knowledge do you have? What do you have right in the moment? What makes you tick? What are you happy with? What you're doing now? And then look forward. Consider all that's going on in the world. We've seen a massive change in the world this year with COVID and the demands of what's, I've had a phenomenal year on virtual kind of platforms. It's been incredible. I've earned just as much money sat here doing this as I did traveling all over the kind of, well, the year before I was all over Europe several times over. And it's bizarre. I've earned virtually the same amount of revenue as I did in profits this year as I did the year before. How daft is that? Sat here. So there's a different skill set that's being demanded on us now. So if you can get a coach, great. If you can't, then there's loads of materials out there, loads of books. One of my favorites is this one, Designing Your Life by Bill Burnett and Dave Evans. So Bill Burnett, Designing Your Life. It's an excellent book. It's a sort of journey book. You can walk it yourself through. There's a lot of journaling involved, a lot of self-reflection. There's loads of articles online on that. Then you get into specifics, but you need someone to, frankly, get someone to listen to you. That's how I would say. And then help you along your way. That was a big long answer for a short question, but there you go.
No, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing here and sort of double barrel these two questions together again, okay?
Yeah.
And you've answered part of this, but I would like just to get specifically ask you this question, because I think this plays a big part in it. So how can we get motivated to achieve maybe our dreams and our aspirations around our career, and maybe trying to get to that place of, feeling like we're not working, and, that we're passionate about what we're doing for a living? And what ingredients do we need to do when you're talking about this self-reflection and kind of looking inward and things? What ingredients do we need personally to make that happen for ourselves, to develop our career or get a better job?
Yeah, I'm loving that, Chris. So I'm going to just caveat my answer for you with a little quote from a book by the name of The Power of Ted by David Emerald. And he quotes a lady by the name of Mary Oliver. And Mary Oliver said, "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" Okay. There will come a moment. There will. Absolutely. Maybe a few times over even, when there will grow in your heart and in your mind a dissatisfaction with what you are doing, unless you're very fortunate of being one of the few who immediately find fulfillment and fantastic opportunities and you've just landed on your feet. That generally doesn't happen to very many of us. So we've all got to work at it as part of our purpose in life, okay? So when that moment arrives, that kind of moment of awareness, that moment of just critical sort of, it's time, you've got to pay attention to those feelings and go and do. Actually, just grab it by the scruff of its neck and say, right, enough is enough. And there's lots of books in that space about face the fear anyway, just do it. All of that kind of stuff. You'll face these moments of truth in your life. We'll all have them. And we may need support of our family and friends to help us through that. I did. I had some great mentors, some great coaches, a lot of encouragement from, you can do this, Daryl. Because facing up to my going and setting up on my own, that was a big thing, leaving the kind of comforts of a pretty good job with good money and good salary to go and do something I want to do. You daft? Are you crazy? That's what I really wanted to do. And the freedom that comes from that. So my grab on, do it, face it, go and take that challenge. We only get one kind of shot at this life, and we've just got to kind of grab a hold of it and go and do it. And if you're lucky enough to have a close friend, a mentor, and help you to do it and work with them, that would be my biggest piece of advice, Chris.
Lovely, thank you so much. And finally, our last question at the end of our podcast is it ever too late to have that experience or that attitude to find a better job, to try something else? Does the clock tick too far and you just don't have that opportunity, or is there always the opportunity to find that better job or something more fulfilling?
So for me, it's a very simple answer to that. It's never too late. Okay, it's never too late to go and try something out new. Later this month, I'm about to jump out an airplane for parachute jump for Mary's Meals and do some charity stuff. It's never too late. Go and stretch yourself all the time. Don't give up trying. Don't quit. Never quit. Just go and do it. Give it a go. Have a go. Find out what your passion is, live it, That's why we're here on earth, so it's never too late. There you go. Succinct answer for that one.
Thank you so much, Daryl. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for being my first guest on my new self.
You're welcome.
Podcast. I'm sure it's all going to go downhill from here. You've been fantastic.
I hope that's made some sense to you, what I've shared today.
Absolutely, and I'm sure hopefully we get a few listeners and people who'll watch these, and I'm sure they'll be taking a lot of notes and getting a lot from it. I know I have, and I've a few things there that have really struck a chord with me. So listen, thank you so much, and best of luck
You're
with
welcome.